to The Profile. I'm Gary Dunn, and tonight in the hot seat, wonderful man, Mr. Roy Martinez. How are you, Roy?
Hey, Gary. Yeah, good, thank you. Yeah, appreciate it. Thanks so much, guys.
We've been having such a laugh in the last 5 minutes about our spelling, and anyway, we'll move on. So, Roy.
Yes.
Where were you born?
It's a little place, unknown place called Singapore.
You said Singapore.
I was a bit out of sync, but it's Singapore.
Yeah.
Some people spell it with a Q, but I don't know.
Yes.
I don't know where these people kind of get that idea from, but there was an actual place called Singapore.
Yeah.
And yes, I was born there back in the day.
Yep.
And I came to Australia when I was about 2 years old.
Great.
On a big ship called the Centaur. No, Australasia. Sorry,
Australasia.
I remember that.
Yeah.
Yeah, because yes, I was running riot on this boat coming here.
And you've been doing that ever since.
Ever since, yes, that's right.
So, I know what instruments you play, but for the audience, what instruments do you play?
Okay, well, I suppose predominantly people know me as a bass player, playing around town. But, lately I've been going into other things. I play guitar for a few bands, and lately I've started a duo with my wife where I'm playing acoustic guitar.
Yeah.
And but I've done Hammond organ sessions, and I play piano with a few other bands. I just did a gig with the Human Highway, which is a Neil Young tribute.
Oh, right.
And so I'm doing orchestral stuff and piano and everything in that band.
Do you find, because I know you're a great bass player,
Thank
very
you.
technical, always
Thanks,
admired
guys.
you, but do you find that playing a guitar, you have the same, it just comes naturally to you? Because
Yeah. The funny thing is I started off on piano to begin with.
Oh,
So I did 12 years of classical piano when I was a kid. And so, reading music and, also playing the organ in church as well too. I was a good Catholic boy when I was young. But I think just generally having that musicality, learning about the theory and all that really helped. And so it was only when I was maybe about 12 or so I started picking up bass, because at that time, maybe in the 80s, all that slap bass was coming through. So like that kind of pricked up my ears, and I thought, man, what's that? It's so groovy. And of course, like Michael Jackson, some of the Stevie Wonder records, all that black funk kind of stuff coming out of America. Yeah, I really kind of
did you think that helped bass players get more chicks? Because notoriously they
apparently that's the rule, but that rule didn't apply to me somehow.
So what was the turning point in your life, that light bulb moment where you said, this is what I'm going to do to yourself?
I suppose it was in high school. I was still doing piano lessons and everything, but my brother, who's 2 years older than me, David, he's a great keyboard player as well too.
Fantastic.
One of the best around town.
Yeah.
He's 2 years older than me, so he started up a band at high school.
Yeah.
And so they needed a bass player. No one wanted to play bass.
No, that's what I mean.
Yeah, that's right.
You didn't get as many girls.
That's right. Well, the bass player was traditionally that guy at the back that just didn't do anything, not the limelight jobs like the lead singer or the drummer or the lead guitarist.
Yeah.
So, but again, that was that time when funk bass and slap bass was really coming up in the mixes of a lot of these songs.
And that was probably the most interesting part about playing bass, I suppose, when all that started happening.
Yeah. I remember there was a song, one particular song, there was a couple of songs, but Little River Band had a song called Happy Anniversary.
Yes.
And that sounded just like a beautiful, nice pop song. But then when you hear the bass, George McArdle, I think he was the bass player, beautiful bass playing. And I thought, man, what's that? He was doing these double stop chords as well too. So that really pricked up my ears.
Great band.
Yeah,
too.
really good band.
Yeah.
And can I just say one other song that really pricked up my ears was this song called Stomp by the Brothers Johnson.
Okay.
And there's actually a bass solo in the middle. And I couldn't even figure out whether that was a bass or not. I thought it was maybe a percussion instrument or something like that. And I realized it was a bass, and then I tried to do it on my Les Paul copy. I didn't have a bass at the time, but I tried to do it on a Les Paul copy, and I couldn't quite get my hands between the strings. But that was something that I really worked on, and I thought, well, that's really different. And I thought, wow.
Yeah, cool. I played in a lot of cover bands, and one thing that's always amazed me is that bass player playing that Call Me Albert. Can you do that?
Well, now, I actually do play that song, and at one stage I was playing it every weekend for like 10 years.
Yeah.
And when I first heard that song, there was something peculiar about that actual bass break. If you hear it, I thought, the second half sounds a bit weird.
It's not
bass. Sounds a bit backwards. It's actually
keyboard.
No. It's a real bass, but when you see the classic albums show
Yep.
that actually had the Graceland albums by Paul Simon, he actually confirmed that, what's his name? Bakiti Kumulai, the bass player,
Yeah.
he played it forwards on a fretless bass, and then they reversed the tape for the second half,
wow.
and it goes backwards, going up the scale.
Wow, because I heard some people say it was actually played on keyboard.
No. There's an actual bass, but they did that production technique to use that. And of course, when I play this day, I'm hoping that the drummer, when he counts it in, it's not too fast, because we do play it. I do play with bands like Adam Hall.
Yeah.
And I love it because it's usually at the end of the night. And if we do it too fast, I'm freaking out. And I thought, can I do this in the middle of a song? So usually I can do it.
It's funny because I play with Darren Reed at the moment, and every song's fast apart from Call Me Out.
Oh, right.
And I go, it's slow, and the bass player's going, no, I want to do it any faster. And a great bass player, Jesse Byram Carter.
Oh, yes, he's fantastic.
He's great.
Yeah.
So, okay, first band you played in. Can you tell me a little bit who was in it and what the name of the band was?
Okay, well, we had that high school band with my brother and his mates, but I suppose the first professional gig I had was with a band called Cruisin'.
Yeah.
Okay, and I remember at 16 years old, I was still underage. I shouldn't really be in the pubs, but because I was tall, I think I got away with it. So I remember starting off at the OBH.
Yeah.
And there's basically the guys that are now, it kind of formed into Soul Corp.
Oh, right.
So it was basically Ian Dennis,
Yeah, right,
who started off the band, who was always a great front man and good fun. And his brothers at that stage were playing, Ian and Gerard Dennis and Tino Dennis was playing drums. So, and my brother was playing in that as well too. So I remember playing my first gig at the OBH and, getting $25 at the end of the gig. It was like, yes. And we'd go to the kebab truck.
You
just
get a
on the
kebab
side.
for $3.
Yeah, $3 at the side of the road on Scarborough Beach there.
Love it. Yeah. So 1991. So what year was Cruisin'? That was...
must have been the 80s, I suppose, yeah.
It's 1991, Get On Down. Can you tell me about that?
Yeah, well, Get On Down basically started in the 90s. A good friend of mine, he was one of my best friends, Hassan Hodgkinson. He was the drummer. And he was always, he's a great drummer, probably one of the best funk drummers around. Yeah. And he had this concept to do, rather than all the rock stuff that was happening around about that time, he said, let's do some funky stuff that people can dance to. Yeah. And he had his favorite kind of disco tunes and funk tunes. So, we started off that band. He asked Matt Branton, a good friend of ours.
Yeah, Matt.
Who, besides having a great look and, he had that feel and everything, he was going to play bass and I was going to go on guitar, which I actually didn't mind at all.
I was going to say, Matt's a bass player. And
It kind of really worked out well because I love playing that, that clean, funky Nile Rodgers chic kind of...
Right in with the hi-hat.
Yeah. So, so it's all about groove. So, I love that knitting between the rhythm section players and everything. Yeah. So it was a great band. We had a great singer up front named Warren Araki. And, the band had such a look. We were all kind of from some ethnic background. The two guys in front had the dreadlocks flowing. We're doing reggae and funk and disco. So it was something a little bit different at that stage. And for a cover band, we actually had a huge following, doing all that.
That was a glam rock era as well, wasn't it?
Right, that's right, yeah.
You still got the long hair from that?
Well, just trying to milk it as long as I can.
Let go of it, son, let go of it. That's what my dad said to me. Hey, so you played with Hank Marvin's band as well?
Yeah, Hank's fantastic. Again, there's a few legends here in Perth, including... someone sitting in this room at the moment,
Dave Brewer.
Dave Brewer. And
Mr. Alan Simpson. The cough.
And of course, the godfather to all of us, and to our heroes as well too, like Eric Clapton and all, and Steve Howe and Brian May, David Gilmour, is Hank Marvin. He's the godfather of them all, and we're lucky to have him here in Perth. He moved over here some time back. And
do you know where he was born?
Not exactly where, but...
In my hometown, Newcastle, northeast England.
Okay, there you go.
It's Geordie. Anyway.
Geordie, right.
Throw that out there.
I've got a lot of friends from that area.
Hey, man.
But Hank's got some great stories, We'd be recording in the studio in Northbridge there, and, he'll stop us and he'll tell us a story about Paul McCartney. Yeah. Or, Brian May. Gold. Or Eric Clapton would ring up or something like that, so... Yeah, it's wonderful.
Ros Parker. Can you
Ros
tell me
Parker,
about
another
Ros?
friend of a long, like 25 years
Yeah.
or something like that. She's wonderful. I remember her back in the day. She used to be on TV for the Christian television
Yes,
ads and everything.
yes.
And she was always had that voice,
Yeah.
that strong voice, soulful but rocky at the same time.
Yeah.
And yeah, so she's actually recording an album at the moment, and Dave Hyams is involved in that, and
Wow.
he's producing it, and it's fantastic songs, really great. The craft of
Yeah,
songwriting.
you have to let me know when that comes out because that'd
Yeah.
be really worthwhile listening to.
Yeah,
as well.
yes. So, and that's sounding great already. So she's just going to finish it off doing her vocals. I'm actually playing some keyboards in
Oh,
that
wow.
as well too. So hopefully in January, start of the new year,
You're a
she'll.
busy man.
Yeah, yeah. It's good. It's good. It's actually quite a prolific time.
So obviously you played with Manteca later in the
Yeah,
thing there.
yeah.
What was that like?
Well, first of all, as a kid, I loved Manteca
Yeah.
because back in the day, it was televised on TV, like
Yes.
everything from the conservatorium at that time.
Yeah.
I remember on a Wednesday night, I used to religiously watch it with my brother, and I had an old tape recorder that I'd put right next to the television set and press record and play. And of course, Paul Pooley was
Oh.
like my hero back in those days. The things that he used to do. I had just learnt about Jaco Pastorius and all his
Yeah.
stuff with the weather report stuff. And there's this Perth band doing a lot of that sort of
Yeah.
stuff. So
Amazing.
and Paul, he was always really loud in the mix. And to see him, and I used to, transcribe some of his playing as well too, which in the end was a lot of Jacko's influence
Yeah,
as
yeah.
well too. But Paul had his own thing happening too, and I
yeah.
copped a lot of that.
It's funny because when I was at Gobbles, Paul filled in.
Yeah.
And who's Paul? That time I didn't really know, and
Yeah.
I rang him and when the phones were on the wall and said, I'll get you the list of all the songs and the keys, and he said, don't worry about it. And I said, what do you mean? I'd never heard someone say, don't worry about anything, I'll just play.
Yeah.
And he did. He came
Yeah.
along and just
Yeah,
played.
well, he's a
Amazing.
master too,
Yeah.
and all the guys in that band too. It's such a privilege for me to play with Al
Yeah.
Pithers as well too, because Al Pithers, Al Lyford, they're my heroes
Yeah,
as
yeah.
well too. There's so much musicality.
Yeah.
They were two of the best singers in Perth at that
Yeah.
time too, and I loved their singing and.
Al Lyford, what a voice.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And of course, again, underage, I went to Gobbles to
Yeah.
see the world famous Oralettes back
Yeah.
in those days, and I loved the original songs that they came up with. Al's
And Jim
songs.
Roster was a god.
Jim
as-
Rossiter
yeah,
was
yeah.
fantastic, and Lucky Oceans
Lucky
was also
Oceans,
playing. and
brilliant.
I tell you,
What a band. Yeah,
great
please.
band. I saw Lucky. They were doing a Jimi Hendrix song. I don't know which one it was, but in those days, Lucky was doing his solo, sounding like Hendrix.
Yeah.
And he'd lift up his pedal steel
Yes.
and play with his teeth.
Yes.
And then I'd see Lucky, lately, and I said,
How are your
Lucky, I
teeth?"
remember you. You used to do that. And he says, oh man, well, I don't remember that, but it sounds like something I would do.
Yeah,
That's
yeah.
what he said.
Yeah. It's funny, I was talking to Al Pithers this morning and he wasn't too happy with
Oh,
you.
look, Al,
Because
look.
he
Come and see the Al Pithers group
here we go,
at the
Al.
Duke of George this Saturday. Yeah, this is I'm trying to make up for.
A few Saturdays ago.
Yes.
Oh, that's right. Yes, a few
Just
Saturdays ago.
advertise any Al Pithers gig coming up.
Yes, we're doing plenty next year.
Yes.
Plenty. And again, it is so great to play with
Yes.
Al because
Oh.
he's right there. He's playing this awesome
Yeah.
stuff. He's singing all these great songs, and
He's a talented musician.
Yeah. Oh, fantastic. Yeah. So he's a big hero of mine.
Yeah. Cool. That was good sucking there. That was great. Okay, Cinema Prague. I've got that written here.
Okay,
Can you tell me about Cinema Prague?
Well, the funny thing is, I'd heard about Cinema Prague. I'd see them ads in the daily newspaper and in Express magazine, the early renditions of those, and they were always this weird kind of alternative band playing the university circuit. And I was still in the kind of like the cabaret commercial thing when I was young. So I knew about them, but it was like a world away, it seemed anyway. And the wonderful Rex Horan, who's the bass player, awesome bass player, he went to London, of course, and he played with people like Paul McCartney's son, actually. And right now I see him on covers of like jazz magazines where he's playing with Evan Jenkins, who is actually of the same era as well too. They're doing so well.
Wow.
They played on like Van Morrison's latest album.
WA boys.
Yeah. Working at Peter Gabriel's studio and stuff like that. So anyway, Cinema Prague wanted to do not a reunion, but just do some gigs, some sort of anniversary. And of course, it's pretty heady sort of music,
Yeah.
kind of weird. You have to get a calculator out to
Yes.
work out the time signatures and stuff. And honestly, like George, he would write some of the charts almost in mathematical terms, you know. So I agreed to do it, and it was great fun, really good. I only did maybe about 6 or 7 gigs with them,
Yeah.
but it was some of the most challenging music, and of course, still a loyal crowd. You know, there'd be crowd surfing, and then the next day I'd see some of the mothers at my son's primary school, you know, hungover after the Cinema Prague gig. So it was really good fun.
I love it. Okay, so 2 points for each question answered. All right.
Okay, here you go.
First concert you went to?
First concert. Okay, I think it might have been Stevie Wonder around the Hotter Than July era, and John Farnham was the support act.
Yeah.
And of course, Tommy Emmanuel was playing with Farnsey, and he
Great.
really stood out. And of course, the big climax at the end where John Farnham sang with Stevie Wonder. I think it's probably the first time they did.
Wow.
That might have been 1980.
What a great concert.
Yeah.
Last concert you went to?
Oh, God. I think who would have been? Well, Pat Metheny.
Yeah.
He had a trio that came over. He's one of my biggest heroes in music. I love the group that he has. Got all the live DVDs and watch them on YouTube and stuff. But that would have been some time back. But I met Pat Metheny.
So what year would that have been?
2012 or something.
Okay, 2 points.
So it's not the latest gig that I've seen, but significant for me because he was my hero, and I met him. It was a Festival of Perth thing at the concert hall.
Wow.
And he signed my guitar, so that's a big thing for me.
That was huge.
Yeah.
First single you bought?
Bed Knobs and Broomsticks, I think. No, that's going a bit too far back.
No, that's fine. That's the first one.
Actually, you know, I remember buying the world famous Oralettes single.
Wow.
Yeah.
Really?
One of our Lyford songs. I think I've still got it. Well, my brother still has it. He kept all our records.
Yeah.
I can't remember which song it was, but I think Women from the City or something like that. Yeah.
Wow.
And so that was one of the first singles that we got because we loved watching them.
If you're watching now.
Yeah.
First album you bought?
First album. I remember getting Sherbet, one of
How's
Sherbet's
That?
albums. Yeah, I think it had How's That on it. And I loved...
I was saying, how's that?
Oh, pretty good. Not out. Anyway, I loved, you know, particularly like Alan Sandow, you know, like seeing pictures of him with this, like these funny rototoms.
Great drummer.
Yeah.
Great drummer.
I didn't know what rototoms were, but just seeing that, and I was like hearing it, what does rototoms sound like, you know? And
I think I went to the Charles Hotel when I was 14 or 15, snuck in there, and just awesome.
yeah, really good band.
And the guitar player that took over.
James, James?
James Harvey.
Yeah.
James Harvey, that's right, yeah.
And I was it's a quick story. I shouldn't be telling you this.
No,
but
I love
I was
it.
in Adelaide. I was a rep for a music company,
Yeah.
and Harvey James, not James.
Harvey James, yeah.
And Harvey says he was in the shop. He was a rep for Fender.
For Fender, I remember that, yes.
And
yes.
and he said, "You coming back to my place?" I said, "Where are you staying?" He said, "Glenelg." I said, "How far is Glenelg from here?" And he said, "It's a 2-can drive." So he took me to the bottle shop. He threw 2 cans in the car, and he said, "Drink those before we get there." Yeah, he's an amazing,
Oh, well,
interesting guy. Yeah.
yeah, rest his soul.
Last question.
Yeah.
Last album you bought?
Last album I bought. Okay, I'm actually a little bit into like the Norwegian scene.
Oh, really?
Yeah. There's some weird, strange artists. I can't pronounce most of their names, but there's a
What sort of
beautiful
music? What?
Well, it's eclectic kind of jazz mixed with pop, mixed with like the avant-garde thing that
All right.
has been going on over there. There's one of my favorite saxophone players is this guy named Bendik Hofseth.
Yeah.
And he's very eclectic. He does the pure jazz stuff, but he also sings in the vein of like Sting and Peter Gabriel, very sophisticated kind of pop music. But he does all this kind of maybe avant-garde sort of stuff as well too. Yeah.
I'll probably get slammed for this, but is that like a QLBIT plus music type thing where you've just got all these different things going on? And,
It's it's still very to me, I don't really like categories.
Yeah.
I just like good music,
Yeah.
and music of my taste, and even
Fair
then
enough.
that's very subjective. But this stuff has just got everything. It's got classical, it's got that real European kind of thing about it. It's got like non-instruments, like just textures and
Yeah,
sounds,
yeah.
but beautiful melodic stuff and great words. And
yeah.
Yeah.
Cool.
Just a mood.
And you enjoy it, and that's what music's about.
Yeah,
so,
that's right. Yeah.
yeah, that transfers. That's
Yeah.
great.
Yeah.
Other jobs throughout your life, Roy?
Oh, okay.
Come on.
Well, all right. I worked for the Lands and Surveys Department at one stage. Yeah.
Right.
And I was kind of like a map maker, I suppose.
Oh.
And yeah, so all the official maps that the government has.
You didn't do Silver Sands and Mandurah, did you?
Oh no, I did a road widening just nearby. Actually.
Okay.
I go past it every day.
That's the problem.
Yeah, I surveyed that. Yeah, so every time they had a new road or extension or a widening or something, I used to put it in the official maps. So that's one thing I did.
And you were a gas meter man, I believe.
I was a gas meter reader. Yes. When I was married, I had to pay the bills, had some sort of surety, because wouldn't trust a bass player with money.
No.
So
no bass players here, so that's cool. No.
So I was, full of gas, so I might as well be a gas meter reader,
Yeah.
So, and I quite enjoyed it. And it was the fittest I've ever been and the brownest I've ever been.
Wow.
And the most dog-bitten I've ever been as well, too.
You had a problem with a few dogs, yeah.
I love dogs, though. Actually, can I take this one? Because
Yeah.
my 9-year-old
Spot will not bite you. So just
want to.
talking about your 9-year-old, how many kids do you have?
Well, I have two beautiful boys.
Yeah.
One's 21. I gave him a Strat, so he's learning all the System of the Down and some Nirvana stuff. So I've challenged him to learn some Nirvana stuff so he can come and play with his mum and me.
Wow.
And I've got also a 9-year-old. His name's Jiva, and I actually named him Jiva after a band.
Wow.
That I was in. That's spelled DJIVA.
Yeah.
And it's a beautiful Aboriginal name, and it was a great band. And
Great.
so I named it after that. And he's made for stage. He's learning drums. He can sing.
Great.
He's a great dancer. He steals our shows. Like we were down in Albany the other week, and he was dancing. And honestly, we were just his background music to his dancing. So
21 and 12.
yeah, the 21-year-old is my stepson.
Oh, okay, sorry.
Yeah. But he looks more like me, really.
Yeah. And you played overseas.
Yeah,
Can you tell me about that?
Yeah, I had a chance a few times to go to America, which is fantastic. The first time I went with a wonderful keyboard player named Alfredo Malabello.
Oh, no, Alfredo.
You know Alf? Yeah. Great guy.
Yeah, very
Heart of
much
gold.
so.
Yep.
Yeah.
And he was playing a lot of piano bar stuff around here in Perth. And he scored a recording deal back in when was that? Late 80s, I suppose.
Yeah.
And so he was in Nashville and he said, Roy, we need a bass player for this project. Would you like to come over? And within like a week and a half of that call, I was in Nashville soaking it up. I was 19 at the time.
Wow.
And so like it was a great experience for me. We recorded with some great session people. And, my goal early in life was to be in the session scene of some sort, because I loved reading all the musicians that played on like Michael Jackson albums and Quincy Jones and all that. And I saw all the connections and how they played well together and all that, and who were friends with whom. So I had a bit of a taste of that over there because
great experience.
Yeah, because Alfredo wanted to have Dave Huntgate, who was in Toto.
Yeah.
He just left Toto and he was living in Nashville, and he was going to be the bass player for that session. But he pulled out at the last minute, so that's when Alfredo called me. And they needed someone who can be permanent as well too.
Yeah.
And I got to meet some great guys. There was, the musical director of Elvis's last band. He was conducting the orchestra. This drummer named Sammy Marantino, who played on, say, like Word Up by Cameo.
Wow.
And his iconic like piccolo snare sound was like everyone kind of knew it.
Everyone's copying it now.
Yeah, and he was using those samples with this project, and he knew another guy. And when he saw me, he said, "Man, you look like my friend Paul Pesco." And I knew that name. He was Madonna's musical director. And he said, "Man, we should do a trio, and I know Steve Picaro. We could kind of do something." And so, if I got my American kind of green card to stay over there,
you would have been
probably would have been with those guys. But it was so hard.
We wouldn't be sitting here now.
Well, I'll be coming back and forth. Well, there's no place I'd love to be in Perth right
Profile?
now.
So, who's your favourite bass player?
Well, again, I have to say the godfather of bass, Jaco Pastorius, is no one can top him.
Yeah.
But again, like I grew up with that slapping stuff, so I don't play that often these days. But say Marcus Miller was a big influence on me. I've met him a couple of times. Lewis Johnson, again, he played on all those R&B albums when that sound was coming through. Larry Graham, who actually has been given the title of being the creator of that style, he's always in the background there. But all those guys. I actually, when I went to Nashville with Alfredo, I met Victor Wooten as well too, and he's become the #1 bass player in the world.
Yeah.
But at that time, he was just a waiter at a restaurant.
Wow.
And I didn't know who he was. He used to take our orders when we used to go into this vegetarian restaurant. And one day we went in there, and there was these 2 beautiful basses on this small 1 meter by 1 meter bandstand. And this guy, our waiter, just went up and played, and my jaw just dropped. And I said, "Man, who are you?" And then he said, "I'm Victor," and we hung out together. He showed me a few things, and he subsequently became, #1 bass player in the world.
Yeah, right. Your dad is a big influence on you.
Yeah, my dad was a fantastic keyboard player. He was more into that stride piano jazz, of like Fats Waller and all that. Back in Singapore, he had a band with 2 of his brothers, my uncles, who one was a singer and one was a drummer, and another cousin who was a bass player as well too. And they had like a Glenn Miller type band. And after the war, he got to jam with like Louis Armstrong and playing at the Raffles Hotel and the Halcyon
was right
days.
in the middle of it, wasn't it?
Yeah. So he rarely talked about it, but like after he died, I found all these photo albums of him at the Raffles Hotel, in those beautiful linen suits, sweating like mad. Whoops, did I press the mic? Sorry.
No, that's
and there's some photos of the equivalent of the photos that I had of me and my brother, at Chinatown after gigs, eating.
Singapore was such a vibrant music scene.
Oh,
So
yeah,
I did the
fantastic.
cricket club there a few times and raffles and a few other places.
I managed to get there a couple of times to play some festivals. Yeah.
It's good. They really enjoy music.
Yeah,
They love
really.
it.
Yeah, for sure.
Okay, so the band you're in now with your wife, can you tell me a little bit about that?
Yeah.
And
Okay. Well, my wife, when I first met her, she told me that she was writing lyrics for songs. And I thought,
what is her name? Sorry.
Okay, her name is Chileli.
Chileli?
Yeah. And she officially changed her name from Susie to Chileli.
Okay.
And so she was writing some songs, and I thought, well, I could help out with developing these songs, and we developed the whole relationship around that. And we actually didn't do very much musically for the first, maybe 7 or 8 years. And
Sorry, what does she play?
well, she can play guitar, but she doesn't play guitar. But she's mainly a dancer, so she comes from that musical dancing choreography side of things. She actually did belly dance, so she was more attuned to like exotic sounding Middle Eastern, Turkish, Indian sort of music. But she's a girl from the '90s, so she loved all the grunge stuff. Her favorite bands are like Red Hot Chili Peppers and all that grunge kind of era. So. We try to mix all those influences together. So she really she had a yearning to be, on stage and doing her music. That's where she best expresses herself.
Yeah.
And so we just started writing, and it really kind of worked out well. She's so prolific with lyrics. I'd come back from another gig and she'd have like 3 songs worth of lyrics that I'd have to kind of produce up. So we've been recording lately just at home, especially with COVID and everything. We actually had a good chance to indulge in our songs.
Yeah.
And we've just finished a film clip that we're trying to promote, at the start of next year. So hopefully...
promote.
Yeah. Well, it's probably be at the end of this interview, so keep an eye out for it.
Okay.
Yeah. So this song is called "Beautiful Mess," and it's about there's a lot of struggles at the moment with the world situation. We actually had a few friends who have been struggling so much that they committed suicide. So we've actually written a song that hopefully can address the issue to some extent and give some hope and light to people in that situation. And but with my wife, I get to indulge with my writing and my musical kind of thing and production and stuff like that. And she goes to town with her ideas and her melodies and her lyrics. So I just leave her to that.
How does it work? Like working together, eating together, sleeping together.
I knew that question would come up.
Tell me a little bit about that. Or
Well, it works surprisingly well, actually. Yeah. On the gig, she's great. And
She's a belly dancer.
Okay.
Oh, we're treading on careful territory
Yes.
here. No, well, we call Chilean the chief, but she's really the chief.
Yes, of course. Well, I wouldn't have thought it any other way.
Yeah, but the good thing is she leaves the musical, the real musical decisions with me.
Yeah.
She's really good with business. She's really good with marketing. She's really
Great.
good with the concept and the image and stuff
Yeah.
like that. And I'm happy to leave her with all that.
Yeah.
And I'm happy to be the guy that actually does the music stuff and
You know
indulge
what they
in that.
say, Roy, happy wife.
Yeah,
you know,
exactly,
happy
exactly right.
life. So, if you were stranded on a deserted island,
Like Rottnest or something.
well, just somewhere that
Yeah.
no one else could infiltrate, you could only take one album with
Okay.
you. So this is the only album you can listen to.
Okay.
What album would that be?
Is my mixtape of my compilation on a burnt CD.
Oh, really?
No. Okay. Probably, maybe, okay. Again, Pat Metheny is probably my favorite musician. So there is a live album, which is almost like a greatest hits called The Road to You, I think it's called, The
Yeah.
Road to You. And that is like, a happening concert, and I love that. So I'd spend all my time transcribing the solos, I suppose.
So you've obviously seen a lot of Perth bands live as well as playing
Yeah,
in them.
yeah.
What's the best band you think you saw live, or the best performance?
There's a band, what are they called? There's a band called Hooker, I think. They're fantastic.
Get out
The guitarist in that band, fantastic. But apart from them, I don't know who's the guitarist.
Who told you to say that? Him?
Alan? No. I'd look up the daily newspaper.
Seriously, come on, Roy.
Okay, well, Darren Reed, yes, probably Darren Reed, or the
Okay,
night after. In
next
fact,
question. Fuck.
I used to come up to Gobbles and watch
Yeah,
you guys
I
the night after. Again, underage, I used to come and see you guys.
Yeah,
But I think Manteca,
yeah,
world famous Oralettes.
yeah.
I used to see like the Eurogliders. I used to go by
Yeah.
myself to watch them.
Bernie and Grace.
Yeah, they're a fantastic band.
Yeah.
Yeah,
There's been just some great. We've just been sport, haven't we?
yeah, oh for sure.
Musicians everywhere. Just
Yeah.
great musicians. Yeah.
Yeah, I even heard great stories of like the early versions of In Excess,
Oh yeah.
where they'd play the
Farris
Broadway
Brothers,
Tavern.
yeah.
Yeah, Farris Brothers
Yeah.
with pyrotechnics
Yes.
playing to 20 people.
Yes. Oh, you could afford them then.
Yeah.
So, your favourite TV show growing up?
TV show, wow. Lost in Space, maybe?
Oh yeah, let's go.
Yeah.
What does the future hold for you, Roy?
Oh, what's the future hold for all of us? Who knows? It's kind of
Yeah.
weird world we're living in now. I didn't think, we'd be doing some of the things that we're doing
Yeah.
now. But, hopefully I'll still be playing music.
Yeah.
I'll be having a hover car, anti-gravity hover car, going to an island.
Anti-gravity.
And, because wasn't that on schedule
Yeah,
to be
yes.
in the next 5 years or so? Yeah.
But yeah,
yeah, I'd love to put out more CDs, more
Yeah.
projects.
just
maybe
keep playing.
Keep
and
playing
doing-
music, doing more festivals, perhaps. Yeah.
Yeah, it oozes out of you the enthusiasm.
Oh well, yeah. I can't
Yeah.
stop playing
No.
music. I'm determined to be playing music. Do a Les Paul thing and do a Monday night somewhere until I'm 91 years old.
Yeah. I remember when I was working at Cosmic, I think in the 90s, and you walking in, looking at all the
Oh, yes.
instruments and
Yeah, I'd be playing until I get kicked
Yeah,
out,
yeah.
which happened a bit.
yeah. Oh, get rid of Roy, get him out of the shop. 6 o'clock. So, what unfulfilled ambitions do you have? Do you have any unfulfilled ambitions? Or
Again, it's always to do with music. So I'd love to do more CDs. So in 5 years' time, I'd love to be on the 5th CD,
Yeah.
perhaps, of my own.
Oh, good.
So,
yeah,
yeah. I've had this project with my wife, Chileli and the Chief, but in somewhere down the track, I'll have to address some of the other things that I'd love to do in music, instrumental stuff. Perhaps.
it's paradoxical because Chilani and the Chief, she's both of them, really, isn't she?
Yes.
You know.
Yeah, well, I'm happy for her to be the front person, and I'm just the guy. I've gone back to being like the bass player used to be,
the guy
in the
back.
background that just kind of does his thing, and occasionally just does a solo.
Oh, I love it. Has she got a nice belly?
She definitely has a nice belly. You can check it out in the film clip. Actually.
Okay, I will. Don't you worry. So, what would you put on your gravestone, Roy?
Okay. I probably have the music transcribed as Dum, 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 da, 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 dum. That's all, folks.
Dum, da, 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 dum.
Or that one.
Yeah. So now, is there something we don't know about you that you want to share with us? Because I've got something written here, because we've got a lot in common, really, because you've got women's underwear and sci-fi.
Oh, yeah,
now, I
that's
can
right.
relate to the sci-fi,
Yeah.
but can you tell me about
Well, I've
the
got a
other?
case of ladies' lingerie.
Okay.
Just put it in your tie case, perhaps. Well, you know, I'm into sci-fi. I've always been into sci-fi since I was a kid. You know, of course, I love Star Wars.
Lost in
and
Space.
Yeah, Lost in Space. Yeah, that's what Star Trek. But I love the documentaries. You know, there was one called Chariots of the Gods by Eric von Daniken, and I
Yes.
remember us going as a family seeing it at the drive-in movies, and you know that sparked up as God, maybe our history is a little bit different from what we know, and yeah, so that really sparked up. And I've always been interested in UFOs, and you know, as a kid, I think maybe I was 7 years old. I lived near the Belmont, the airport near Belmont, and I saw some lights in the sky that I couldn't explain. But you know, I wrote it off as that's just probably another aircraft. But apparently, 2 days later on the Channel 7 News, some people did see this weird kind of thing going up and down their street that they couldn't explain. And there was like maybe 50 people from the houses in Redcliffe or something like that. And so I was excited. I saw my first UFO. And
They're here.
yeah, well, some of us might be, you know, playing bass in a band, perhaps.
Yeah. I think the first time I took my wife on a date, I shouldn't even say this probably because I'll get killed, was the third kind, Close Encounters of the
Close
Third
Encounters
Kind,
of the Third
and
Kind.
E.T. It was a double at the drive-in, and I thought, wow, I could, yeah.
Well, I accuse my wife, Chilele, being not of this earth.
Yeah.
And she kind of agrees, so.
Wow, okay. No worries. Okay, wind it up, the
Wind it up.
producer's saying. Anything else? No?
Subscribe.
Subscribe. I don't even know the new domain name.
Profile.show.
The profile.show. Ladies and gentlemen, if you want to subscribe, the profile.show on YouTube, is that? Yep. Just whatever it is, Phil. Thanks, Mark, for your contribution tonight.
Thank you, guys.
And thank you,
Just call me the dictionary.
the dictionary. And particularly thanks to you because that was great. That really exciting.
Oh, thanks, Gary.
Yeah.
I really appreciate it.
Yeah, you're really enthusiastic, man. I love that. You know.
Thank you.
Thank you for coming in, and we're going to go to a clip now. And thanks for joining us again, folks.
for miles, I've been walking for weeks. Got a heavy heart, got some broken faith. Well, I've been walking for miles, walking out of sync. I put myself on the edge. I put myself on the edge. And I will lay myself down. And I will lay myself down. Such a beautiful mess. Well, I've been walking for miles, I've been walking for days. Shuffling through the darkness, shuffling through the darkness. Well, I've been following these footsteps, I've been following my heart. Stop
At ProCopy, we can transfer audio to CD, make CD, DVD and Blu-ray copies, transfer video to DVD, Blu-ray or HD, digitize slides and photos, and supply custom USBs. You can see more details at procopy.com.au or call us on 08 9375 3902 for more information.